Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Anti-Violence Virtual Summit. We are so happy that you've joined us tonight. We've been eagerly anticipating this event for weeks now, and we're just so glad that you have joined us in support of curbing the violence in the Black community. I'm going to introduce you to our first host for tonight, who is Dr. Anel Prim. Dr. Anel Prim is All Healers Mental Health Alliance co-founder and chair, and also a psychiatrist. She's based in Baltimore, Maryland, and she's, as I mentioned, the founder and chair of All Healers Mental Health Alliance, also called AMHA, a national network of mental health professionals, health advocates, first responders, and faith community leaders that facilitates culturally grounded responses to the mental health needs of Black and other historically marginalized communities affected by natural and human-caused disasters. AMHA, which began its work in 2005 after Hurricane Katrina, has organized collaborations to assist families hard hit by disasters such as Superstorm Sandy, the Flint water crisis, Hurricane Florence, Hurricane Harvey, and COVID-19. The focus of AMHA's recent efforts to support disaster survivors include the Buffalo Massacre, Hurricane Ian, and the Alabama tornadoes. Dr. Prim, thank you, and we are glad to turn the mic over to you.
Thank you very much, Victor, for the kind introduction. Everyone, again, my name is Dr. Anel Prim, and I'm proud to be the chair and convener of the All Healers Mental Health Alliance, and very proud to join with other organizations such as Pain Unwasted and the Lansing Association of Black Social Workers to present this very important summit, anti-violence summit in the Black community. I would say that among all the disasters that our communities face, violence is one of the most significant ones, and it takes a toll on our bodies, our minds, and our spirits. And that's why it's important for organizations like ours to come together to address these issues. And we're very fortunate to have experts from around the country to share their knowledge about this important issue and what can be done about it. So I would like to now introduce co-host, Dr. Willie Davis. Dr. Willie Davis of the Lansing Association of Black Social Workers is an educator and public health consultant. He's a professor at Lansing Community College and Davenport University. Dr. Davis has his PhD in international and comparative education from Michigan State University and has taught for over 50 years, 14 in the K-12 system and 40 years as an adjunct professor. He has spent 4 years in public health as a consultant in areas of health education, statistics, chronic disease control, community organizing, quality control for Medicaid screening, and minority health. He has published in several journals and books and has traveled extensively to Africa and the Caribbean, as well as to Australia, Europe, South America, and Asia, gathering material for the All Around the African World Museum and Resource Center, of which he is the curator director. He has also served as a board member of an African-centered school named after Malcolm X, El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, for 25 years, and was key in the naming of a street, Malcolm X Boulevard in Lansing, Michigan. He has coordinated tours to Tanzania and Jamaica and helped develop sister and friendship city relationships in Ghana and Tanzania, respectively. He retains active membership in many African and African-American organizations and others, including the Lansing Juneteenth Scholarship and Education Committee, and enjoys the distinction of attending every Juneteenth celebration as a vendor.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd just like to welcome everybody and just kind of give the what we are all here about. I just want to just kind of quickly just go over each day on the average 30 Black Americans are killed by guns and more than 110 experience non-fatal injuries. Black Americans experience 10 times the gun homicide of white Americans. Black Americans are nearly 3 times more likely to be shot and killed by police as white Americans. Black Americans experience 18 times the gun assault injuries of white America, and 60% of African Americans or someone they care for has experienced gun violence. So that's why we're here, and we've got the people to tell us work out some of the solutions to where we need to go to end this violence.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. I'd now like to introduce Mia Pyle. Jamia Pyle of Pain Unwasted, founder, speaker, mental health trainer. She is best known as Mia. She's a native of Nashville, Tennessee. She has been happily married for over 16 years to Victor Pyle Jr., LPN, and together they have 2 beautiful children. Mia is a graduate of Tennessee State University with a bachelor's degree in English. As a dually certified mental health first aid instructor and former life alignment depression program facilitator for the Wildwood Lifestyle Center, Mia brings a world of experience into all of her presentations and trainings. After spending 15 years in ministry as a missionary, lifestyle coach, and teacher principal, life tragedy hit so hard that she thought she had lost her faith. As a survivor of abuse, Mia candidly makes herself vulnerable by sharing her own personal experiences with depression, suicidal thoughts, fears about God, and the tools she used to overcome them. She is on a mission to combat the stigma surrounding mental health, especially in the church, and to equip everyday people to be prepared to help in the event of a mental health crisis encounter. Welcoming Mia Pyle.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Prim, and thank you so much, Dr. Davis. I am so thankful that we are having this summit tonight. I am fired up. I am pumped. You know, when I think about the time that we are in right now, this is so sacred. You know that Harriet Tubman's birthday was allegedly on March the 6th. And so we also know that in 1863, that's about 100 years, right? If somebody is a mathematician, let me know if I'm wrong, since slaves.
You're muted.
This is a really serious thing, because when I think about Harriet Tubman and her mission, right, was to make sure that as many people as wanted to be free could be free. That's what this Anti-Violence in the Black Community Summit is about. How do we free ourselves from the effects that slavery has had on our community? And so I'm so excited for the speakers who are going to be sharing their information. We have an amazing virtual booklet. So those of you who are listening on, you're going to hear some dynamic speakers. Their work is so extensive, we couldn't put it in the whole book, okay? And so if you have not already gotten your friend, your cousin, your colleague, whoever, you want to call them, text them, send them the link, say, get on here now. It is going to be powerful. It is going to be amazing. And you do not want to miss a second. They're going to be literal jewels falling from these people's mouths as they talk about how you and how I can actually help change my community, things that actually work. And so please invite whoever you can and just stay tuned. We've got a great lineup. And speaking of lineup, we're going to jump right into our speakers, okay? I want to let you know that the purpose of this program is really to give you some tools, to give you strategies on how you can help to really change your community. But each speaker, they're so dynamic. They've only got a short amount of time to share some really powerful things with you. So even right now, go ahead and get a pen, get your paper. I've got my notebook, I've got my pen, because the things they're going to share with us are going to be transformative, okay? And so without further ado, I want to introduce you to our first speaker. I'm not going to read her whole bio. I'm just going to hit some key points. And that person is Samaya Coleman. And I know her as Samaya Fire, okay? And she is the founder of Share Time Wisely Consulting Services. Samaya Coleman's reputation is as a community midwife and resourcefulness person to develop and effectively administer grassroots organizations and programs that serve survivors of domestic and sexual violence. Her national leadership encourages intergenerational mentorship to develop broad outreach in the community, paying it forward. As a community organizer, keynote speaker, writer, and previous Fisk University radio talk show host, she conveys and demystifies the complex issues of gender violence, advocates for justice, encourages healing, violence prevention, and community engagement. She leads with freedom in mind. And listen, you're going to have access to this book, okay? This virtual book is going to be shared with you before the end of this program. So you will personally have an opportunity to connect with these speakers. Listen, you need to get them in your communities, in your churches, in your businesses. And so you'll have access to this book. But I don't want to take up her time. I want to turn it over to Samaya Fire. Please share with us, what can we learn tonight from your experiences?
Thank you, Mia. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here with you tonight for the Anti-Blackness Violence in the Black Community Summit. So it's good to be here with you all. So as a recipient of the International Black Women's Congress ONI Award, and also to living by the code of the National Association of Social Workers and the National Association of Black Social Workers Code of Ethics, I adopt the concept of a Black extended family and embrace all Black people as brothers and sisters, making no distinction between their destiny and my own. And I am an ancestral daughter of Harriet Tubman. Thank you for mentioning her birthday. Tomorrow, Girls Tract is hosting house parties with over 1 million Black women for the wellness of Black women. So thank you very much for mentioning Harriet Tubman tonight. Also, too, for further introduction, 65 years ago, I was gifted as child number 4 and the third girl to a Black family experiencing domestic violence. I was raised in North Nashville in Tennessee in the civil rights 1960s with freedom fighter meetings in my home located down the street and around the corner from Fisk University. And so while my aunts planned and marched with Congressman John Lewis and others, my paternal grandmother, Lula Mae Dow, was one of the first Black women to work in the Sheriff's Department in Davidson County, Nashville, Tennessee. And my maternal grandmother, Mary Williams Hatchett, was a historical leader in a sanctified church on Meharry Boulevard. So I had no choice but to be a strong advocate for justice. And as a result of my higher calling to bring healing to my local community, that interrupted my personal plans to be a singer and an actor. So I'm just trying to see how that's going to work for me now. For 30 plus years, I've co-led and built movements within movements to address domestic and sexual violence in African-American communities. And that work has been shaped by national and grassroots organizing with coalitions, faith communities, universities, and as a thought leader. So traveling throughout the nation on trains and planes and by car, I have shared my voice and footprints in about 3/4 of the US, Africa, Caribbean, Guam, and the Virgin Islands, to ensure that all communities have resources and support to break silence about domestic and sexual violence. So much of that work has been done under my current umbrella known as Share Time Wisely Consulting Services. And you can learn a little bit more about me and the work that we've done at sharetimewise.net. For now, I just want to use my time wisely on this platform to discuss the issues that many victims of domestic and sexual violence face. My foremost concern and energy has gone towards supporting African American communities, not to just break the silence, but for community safety initiatives to be led by folks who look like us, who live in our communities, who share faith and space for grace, and also to increase safety for victims. So years ago, I founded and ran a comprehensive domestic violence organization called Ujima House, which provided residential and non-residential services to Black and Brown adult and child victims. And this is more prevalent now, but still we need more effective approaches and services and adequate funding to run those services. The biggest challenge is in holding open conversations about domestic violence and that are not victim blaming and opening safe houses and sanctuaries for them. So still, after 30 years of ministry work, I am still looking for opportunities to increase awareness and resource communities with knowledge and understanding the dynamics involved. There are so many intersections that impact victim safety, like holding perpetrators accountable and other actors accountable to disrupt and end violence against women and children. I pause here to acknowledge that men and members of the LGBTQIA communities are also victimized. And that pause is where much of our community is divided and or silent. As healers and supporters, we cannot define or determine who is a victim or not, nor who is worthy of services. All victims self-identify and are worthy of support. So I approach my work as a survivor, organizer, educator, student, and survivor of many things. I practice
So Maya Fire, if you can hear me, it appears that your screen has frozen. Are you able to hear me at this time? As she is just working out that kink with her audio visual, at any time you can come back in. She's already hit some really powerful points. Did you all hear that? Did you hear her say folks who look like us? That's just really powerful. The ability to have a person that looks like you there to attend you in your time of need. How powerful is that? Samaya Fire, are you there? I believe we have lost connection with her. And with that being said, I think what we'll do is we'll go on to our next speaker. And if she is able to come on again, which I really hope so, because she was just getting started, we'll have her come back in. Okay, sounds like there's been a power outage. Okay, so let's go on to our next person. And Dr. Davis, I know this person is really key to your heart, a colleague of yours, and that is Dr. Parker. I'm not going to steal the show. I'm going to allow you to introduce him. Parker, and I'll turn it over to you.
Dr. Parker or Dr. Taylor?
I'm sorry, it's Dr. Taylor. Thank you. I'm sorry. No, actually it is. It's Dr. Parker. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yes, very, very dear. We're in the same community, and he has brought so much to our community in terms of dealing with, again, counseling the factors and church leaders and career and life consultants. And of course, he's executive director of the Eastside Community Health Center and the senior pastor of Faith Fellowship of Baptist Church, which he took over, which has been a church that's been heavily involved in our community, known as a people's person. Again, been married for over, I can't see that. I think I got to move my thing here, for over 43 years. And again, trying to maintain this community, he has actually put together a violence prevention program through the Eastside Community Center. So, Dr. Parker.
Thank you there, my friend and brother. I'm so glad to be part of this most important event tonight, dealing with violence within our Black community. I want to thank all of those who had anything to do with this program in advance, because this is an area that we need to continue to not only be able to talk about, but also be able to do something about it. And I think it's important for us to have information so that we can inspire our community to get involved in making a difference, so that the violence factors that plague our community won't have to continue to have such devastating impact in our community. I am Dr. Stan Parker, and I serve as the Executive Director for the Eastside Community Action Center, where we have a variety of programs that we administer to help make a difference in our community. Our motto is changing lives by helping people, and that's all people, one at a time. Tonight, I'm going to focus on two of our violence programs. First, we have a program entitled COPE, C-O-P-E, and that stands for Community Outreach Program with Expectation. In that program, we provide services to domestic violence individuals who have been a perpetrator as well as a victim. And we have a host of social workers, master level social workers, who come around these individuals and provide mental health services to help them get back on track and lead them into services and programs that will allow them to be an asset to their community in spite of the trauma that they had gone through as a result of domestic violence. We also assist with housing with some of these individuals, as well as providing them with the opportunity where they didn't have employment. We support them with employment. We also have from time to time a support group where we have survivors talk to each other to strengthen each other, so that those who have gone through this will recognize that they are not in this by themselves. And so our job and goal is to let these individuals know that in spite of what they have gone through, there are people who are concerned about them, care about them, and are willing to walk with them as they go through, in many situations, a healing process. The healing process is critical in order for them, as I use the term, to bounce back better. And so that program is open up to any individuals who have been involved in the array of domestic violence activity. We also have another program here that is called Off the Street. And under Off the Street, we are working to impact violence prevention as well as violence interruption. As most of us here in Lansing know, that in last year alone, we had 13 total shootings last year. We had over 58 non-fatal shootings. And then altogether, we had over 300 shootings that involved guns. The year before that, we had 23 fatal shootings. And unfortunately, 8 of those shootings were teenagers, 2 were children under the ages of 5. During that same year, there was a total of 85 non-fatal shootings. And there were a total of 449 total incidents involving violence. And so as a result of that, we worked with our partners, with the city, with the county, the police department, Michigan State University, and we piloted a program which we call now Off the Street. And in this program, what we do is we attack the violence prevention mode by working with youth as young as 8 years old up to 16 years old. And we provide them instructions. We use a curriculum called Disciplines of Excellence, and it deals with the whole concept of character building, starting off with first helping these young men understand that they have value. As a clinical social worker and talking with many of these individuals before and sometimes during their incarceration, one of the things that became critically clear to us is that many of these individuals who are out here involved in gun violence, they don't care about themselves. They don't see value in themselves because of life circumstances. And so one of the first things we do in this curriculum is we help show them that they do have value, that their life does have value, that they can bring something to the table in their communities, that they can be an asset and not a liability. And so during this discipline excellence process, we provide training and mentoring for them in a classroom type setting. And then we take these same individuals and we provide them with an opportunity to participate in constructive physical activity to get rid of some of that anger that many of them walk around carrying. And so we assist them in learning how to properly box. We assist them in physical fitness activities, playing basketball, and other physical type activities that are positive and not negative. Then we have a group where we have individuals from the ages of 16 through 26. And we're working with the police department, the county prosecutor, the probation officers, and the local school district. And with these individuals, they get the same type of curriculum, however, it's provided at a different level. And we assist them in terms of violence prevention as well as violence interruption. And to help with our violence interruption, we deploy what we call community chaperones, who, when we get information that there's a potential violent activity that's involving guns, we then send them out in the mix of that. And many of these individuals are familiar with the territory because most of them at one time or another was part of a group who were actually involved in some of the shootings, but they have changed their lives around and made a decision they wanted to give back to their community. And so as a result of that, they go and infuse themselves in these situations and operate in using de-escalation and conflict resolution techniques. And we're happy that even last year, in the midst of all that was going on, we were able to impact 4 specific situations where gun violence was going to be the end result. But because of the activities of our community chaperones, we were able to bring those conflict situations into a peaceful situation where none of those individuals who were involved ended up dealing with the court or the police, and no one got injured. And so in this off the street program, we're trying to do our best to help these individuals understand that there are other ways to handle conflict rather than picking up a gun. We show them how when gun violence is portrayed, what ends up happening and all of the different people that it impacts. It's unfortunate, but many times when folks are angry and get involved in these types of activities, they have no thought about how this is going to impact their families or the community. And so I know my time is almost up, but I wanted to at least give you an overview of what we do. And as you study the research, it really shows that when you implement violence interruption programs, you do see a decrease in violent shootings. And we want to continue to work here in our community to do that. We also find that by reducing the opportunities for these individuals to get involved in gun violence, it also helps reduce the number of the Black and brown folks that we work with end up in the correctional institutions. And so we see a positive impact from what we have done, and we're striving to continue to help de-escalate these types of conflicts and to try to be a mediator to build supportive relationships among our different groups within our city. And so with that, I will stop. And again, I just want to thank those who were involved, Mia and all the others who were very thoughtful in putting forth this anti-violence summit as it relates to what's happening in the Black community. Thank you.
Wow, excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Parker. This has been really good. I hope you all were getting some nuggets there. I heard him talk about the acronym COPE, C-O-P-E. And right now we have time to take maybe 1 or 2 questions. So if you have a question for Dr. Parker, please feel free to put it in the chat and we can try to get that question to him. I heard you say some of the big parts of your project, Dr. Parker, is making sure young people know their value and that they have a purpose. And I really loved how you talked about, you know, it's not just about their academic, but it's about their physical. How are they able to blow off some of that steam and frustration? You got them in boxing and learning the technicalities of that. What type of exercise can they be a part of? I thought those were really powerful. So as we think about implementing programs, talking to our school systems, these are things that we can actually transfer. What about you, Dr. Davis? I don't know if anything stood out to you you'd like to say about Dr. Parker's presentation, or if there's any questions.
That's just great, and like I said, I'm in the same neighborhood, and so all of us working together to just try to produce things that actually go beyond the neighborhood too, and actually being able to impact policy decisions as well in dealing with the county, the police department, and Michigan State University, and others, and working with us also our Association of Black Social Workers here too.
That's awesome. How might an individual go about talking to some of those policymakers? Are there any recommendations on that?
For Dr. Parker or me?
Oh, for Dr. Parker, sorry.
Oh, okay. One of the things that we started when we piloted this program, we put together a community coalition of individuals throughout the city. And we would meet regularly to come up with recommendations that we took not only to city council, we took to the local school board, and we went to the prosecuting attorney's office. And we were able to outline not just what the problem is, but we also were able to come up with recommendations that would provide solutions to our community so that the end result that everybody said that they were concerned about could happen. One of the things that we did with the community group, one of our recommendations that had an extremely powerful impact in our school system is we were helping the school board understand that everybody who gets in trouble is not a troublemaker. Some of these individuals get involved in these types of activities because they feel like they have no other alternative. So what we were able to do is put forth a recommendation to our superintendent of our school system. And as a result of that, we were able to be influential in getting our trades programs reinstituted in our school systems. So for many of those individuals who are not college bound, they can still get involved with an education in a trade. And come next September, that program is going to be expanded to the point that there's going to be a single school that is going to be designated just for skilled trades. And for our community, that's huge. It also helps us to let our young folks know you can make a good living with these trades, and you don't necessarily have to get yourself involved in some of the fast games that people try to get themselves involved with in the streets. And so that was extremely important. The second thing we did, we talked with the city council, and we were able to impact to the point that Dr. Davis can attest to this, we now have more community officers within our community. Because
Awesome.
at one point, the police department, for whatever reason, didn't see the importance of having neighborhood community police officers. And as a result, we were able to do that. And what we do intentionally is we infuse the police, our community police officer, into many of our programs involving our young folks. So we have an after-school program. We have that police officer come and meet the kids so that they get to know the police officer, and then police officer gets to know them. We infuse them in our what we call family forums, where again, we get the police involved so that people get to know each other. Because one of the things that we have discovered is that when there's a relationship,
Yes.
there's a less fear factor, okay? Sometimes people respond out of fear, but when there's a relationship, then that fear factor diminishes greatly.
Excellent, excellent. Wow. I hope you all caught those juicy jewels. That is so powerful. Please, you have to pass that on. A huge thing I heard you say just then was create a coalition, right? There's strength in numbers. You know, it's one thing for me, a pile, to just go and knock on the door, but when there's a coalition of people who are concerned, who are educated, and even if there's a combination, right? Maybe I feel insecure, I don't feel like I have enough education, but I can bind together with those who have the different credentials, and we can come together and we can talk to our city council, we can talk to our attorneys, we can talk to our school board. That is excellent. And so thank you so much. I know you want to hear more from Dr. Parker, but listen, you've got to contact him yourself, okay? So make sure you get a hold of the virtual booklet so that you can be able to contact him, access him. Samaya Fire is back on, and she had a little bit more time left. She didn't get to finish giving us the juicy nuggets that she had. So we're going to bring her in. But listen, if you think it's good, it's just gonna stay good. Okay. So make sure you tune in, get your people on. And so Samaya Fire, returning it over to you for those last few minutes. Please let us know what we can learn from you at this time.
Yeah, thank you so much. You know, when they say in the church when the lights go out that it's an amen. So maybe it was an amen. I don't know.
Good. It was too good. Your electricity couldn't handle it. It was so
Couldn't.
good. All right. We're ready. We're ready.
Yeah, so I was basically saying that all victims self-identify and are worthy of support. And the way in which I approach my work as a survivor, an organizer, an educator, a student, and survivor of many things, I practice humility with strength in my gifts and God's anointing on my life. So I'm well aware of nuances with policy setting that further harms victims, such as wrongful identification, stigmas, and stereotypes of Black men, especially in some of the things that Dr. Parker talked about. Stereotypes of Black men that set them up as criminals as well. It's very complicated. So, however, victims need to be able to feel safe in calling upon law enforcement to intervene when they are threatened physically and sexually violated. Yet they fear not being respected or believed and are troubled by relying on law enforcers. So many people might not relate state-sponsored violence with domestic violence, but it's the number one reason why Black women do not involve the justice system, and because prisons are filled with Black men and women. So who are they going to call for help? Many people don't relate our overcrowded child custody system with domestic violence, while many Black mothers lose their children to faulty systems that blame them for the violence. Many people do not relate prenatal complications to domestic violence, yet that is when many mothers experience relationship violence resulting in health issues for the mother and the baby. Further, many people do not see the backlash of the overturning of Roe v. Wade as a violation of a woman's right to her body when she has been raped. Yet Black women experience domestic and sexual violence at alarming rates. So when we see domestic violence, it's a pattern of power and control, just like the construct of racism, that uses a system of tactics, threats, and behaviors that can become fatal. I will provide you with statistical data as a follow-up on some of that stuff too. But briefly, Black women have the most reported cases of domestic violence, like 2/3 more than white women. So many things in our culture, like certain music genre, religion, and familiar norms, perpetuate the violence. And this is where we must be more accountable and open to making cultural and social change. Criminalizing, sexualizing, villainizing, and propagandizing Black women as culpable in their demise is linked to racist treatment toward both Black women and men. So I'm just saying, in conclusion, that my team and I stand firm in our work with nonprofit organizations, grassroots organizers, and the faith community to bring about change. We address the impacts of white supremacy, capitalism, internalized racism through a lens of mindfulness, wellness, and healing. So yeah, that's some of the things that I want to leave your audience with, and we can talk further too about strategies that leaders can implement to mitigate domestic violence in the Black community. So thank you, Mia.
Wow, wow, wow. This is huge. And so if you have a question for Samaya Fire, please go ahead and put that in the chat. Thank you so much to Roxana and Victor who are watching the chat to see if any questions are coming up. I heard you say patterns of power and control, and they are the same patterns that we see with racism. That is huge. I mean, I know there's a lot of advocates and workers on here, and you all may have known that and heard that, but I had not made that connection and correlation. That is huge. I was hoping that you could talk to us very briefly in your question and answer time about that pattern. You said the patterns show up in religion, music, and also in the media. Could you just highlight a few things that can like awaken our minds when we're listening to music, when we're watching that show, yay, even when we're at church? What are some of those things that are perpetuating that pattern? I know that's like loaded, but
Yeah, it's okay. Jokes. Let's start with jokes.
okay.
Jokes and put downs about Black women, whether it is about our hair, our body parts, seeing us as less than, not worthy of holding certain positions, leadership positions. Well, we could get into a long conversation about submission and what that looks like and how that feeds into power and control. So there are a lot of different ways in which our everyday culture perpetuates violence against Black women.
Thank you for outlining that a bit more. I know some light bulbs are probably going off for some of us who are here and for those who will watch this recording. Are there any questions coming up for Samaya Fire at this time? I heard her say 2/3 more that Black women, and that's so interesting because we are in, women's the celebration of women this
Yeah.
month, but we are 2/3 more likely to suffer
Yes.
violence. That is intense.
Yes. There was a question that said, do you think there is a number of violence that these numbers are high? Do you think there is a number of violence with women that are unreported? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when I'm saying that Black women fear calling for help through law enforcement, think about those numbers. You have 2/3 reported. You think about those numbers where they're not calling. Black women tend to not trust services that are not culturally relevant. So one of my recommendations is that we are working together, organizing to build culturally relevant services that speak to the needs of Black women, that speak to the needs of Black children, Black families, and also to balance that with you know, the stigmas and the stereotypes against Black men. So that's very nuanced. That's very complicated, and a lot of times talking about how Black women are treated in terms of not being believed as survivors, as if Black women are liars about the violence that's perpetrated against them. If you go to the ER, if you go to the health department, if you ask doctors how Black women are presenting around violence, then yeah, you have the answer to that.
Wow, this is so intense. I know that we have to, let you go because there's so much power on this line. But listen, get your virtual bio book, contact Samaya Fire. She does training, speakings. You want to connect. I know you heard some things that are just really powerful. So I hope that not only are you as a person watching this broadcast right now, getting a lot of tips, tools, and strategies, but let's get some networking going, right? All right, I want to turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Willie Davis, to introduce our next person whose bio was just amazing and extensive. Dr. Taylor, I'm not going to steal the fire. I'm going to let you introduce her. She's powerful. And so I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Davis.
All right. Thank and that was a great suggestion about the culturally competent like coalitions dealing with the domestic violence. Ms. Fire, thank you. But Dr. Taylor here, Clarksdale, Mississippi, where both my parents are, all of us come from, a lot of us come from that part of the world. And she's, again, and you look at some of the things that she has witnessed in terms of murder, police attacks, and what it has done to inspire her to do as much as she has been doing. And again, she's established a number of organizations here in Lansing, Models Incorporated, which later became Brand New Me, a workshop where she's worked and still works with youth to research and write about the accomplishments, as well as entering and writing contests, as well as providing all types of social and physical support for youth, working in nonviolence projects as well, especially substance abuse programs too, and again, assisting youth and scholarships for continuing education too, that I actually get an opportunity to kind of help with sometime, and providing safe space for youth to share their talents and expand their public images, and especially prison outreach. And I've had a chance to go with her to watch some of her dynamic presentations, especially dealing with the incarcerated as well. And again, still active with the Brand New Me Youth and Senior Citizens programs today. And she's also too has had a lot of impact in terms of policy decisions within Lansing as well, especially dealing with youth and violence. So without any further ado, Dr. Taylor.
Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. This is really great, and we have so much to cover in so little time and so few people. I really enjoy.
Excuse me, Dr. Taylor, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Will you please turn on your camera so we can see your beautiful face? Thank you.
Oh, I thought I did 2 or 3 times, and it goes popping right off again.
There you are.
And I did.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. Okay. Again, I said thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to follow these dynamic people. I kind of feel a little humbled here, but nonetheless, each of them have so much to say and so many things to cover. Dr. Parker was right on key about the self-value and self-worth of our young people and of ourselves too, because in every school situation, in every undereducated situation, we are really the underserved. And I'm grateful to the doctor who I'm following, who is really dynamic as well with her thoughts about the things that happen to women. I am from a matriarchic family. We had very few men in our family. Many of them were taken in war and in early death. And so as a result, it was my grandmother, my mother, my aunts, pretty much that were the leaders, the guiders of our family, and their goals and things that we did always was to always forward and continued education and take no mess from nobody. And if one get into something, everybody is in something. And my mom used to say to my 2 sisters and I, if we were out somewhere and somebody was bullying or mess with us and we lose the fight, she said, one of y'all wasn't fighting. So you fight now and you talk later. And so you do that fighting with either your right words or your right body, and you get it done and you come back and the rest of us are in it. So that's the way I was kind of raised, was saying, We worked as a village even then, and we worked as a team, and we continue to do. So what I do right now involves both my daughters, my granddaughters, and then I only got one son. Isn't that amazing? And both of my daughters have only one son. So we worry all the time about their involvement and how they're going to be encouraged to do what they need to do with very few men involved. Even though their fathers were involved, it's still a situation where it's the women outnumber the men 4-1. And so one of the things that we do at the Brand New Me workshop is we deal with the personal development, how people think about themselves and their personal values. Being incarcerated makes them oftentimes a captive audience. And being a captive audience, that means that I can go in there and I say to them often, your mother, your aunts, your wives, your sisters couldn't tell you nothing. Now you want to talk to me. I usually go into institution. I go into 17 of the institutions in Michigan out of the 32. And I go there because they always call me and then they're sent away somewhere else because they're considered a PINTA, pain in the ass, because they want to now improve themselves. I talk to them in their religious positions and I talk to them in their educational position. And I help them do resumes so that when they come out, they can get a job or start a business, because with felony behind their name, it's not likely that they're going to get what they need. Prior to going in there, I try to talk to the youth on the organizations, and I do a Brand New Me workshop, self-awareness programs. And we now have a program called Snack and Chat. And Snack and Chat is where I introduce young men and women and early childhood development programs, as well as upper elementary and middle school youth. I introduce them to other organizations that can provide them with education opportunities. There's some things that attract our young people's attention. People are the same all over the world. All over the world, people are the same. You have good, you have evil, you have people who really care about you, and then we have people who don't care about themselves, let alone caring about you. But our job, because there's so much going on and so much that's stacked against us and our children, that we have to attack and give them attention to where it suits them most. They want attention. And right now, the only attention that they've been given is negative attention. And it's rightly so. And no matter what you say, there is a lot of violence in our communities. There's a lot of things that's thrown under the bridge and by the wayside because we feel like we just can't get it. It's not meant for us. We just can't do it. And so that's my job and the job that I deal with in Snack and Chat. And what I do is I introduce the young people to various programs and opportunities to help them get just a little money to give them a foothold in doing something better for themselves. All young people are not guided and geared towards sports or to go in college, but everybody wants to do better. And the attention that they get to try to get them to do better is wrong and bad. And all of our children are not in games, but they are thuggish and they are bad in some areas. But if we attend to their needs of doing a little bit better, what we do is we'll attend to their interests. And a lot of them, no matter how bad they are, they're interested in music, in information. They want to see something better with their faces, people that look like them. And all of us have addressed to that. So to do that, Snack and Chat, I bring in people from outside who are just everyday people. Many of them are just career-minded people who have maybe started a business or who maybe are doing a job and use that job to start a business and do something better. Fact about it, we got something coming up tomorrow with Snack and Chat, where common people will be coming in to talk to our young people, male and female, on the do's, the don'ts, the hows, and the whys of continuing education and how to use that to start their own business if they can't go to college, can't go to trade school, not in a job, or don't have any resources. The idea of them being so very able to do things is not true, because a lot of them bring extreme baggage from home. And that has already been addressed, the violence in the home, the dysfunctionalities in the home, then the people who they see that are interested on the street, that they want to be like on the street. So with the Snack and Chat, with the Brand New Me workshop personal development, with the personal research. We show them people of the past who's overcome the bumps and the trials and the pit holes that has stopped them. And they started all over again and finished and pursued their goals and dreams and opportunities. We also show them people in the neighborhood that they wouldn't see or think of, and who are doing the jobs that they can do and can make a difference in their lives. We talk to all the people in the area who are, have I lost you?
Yes,
we
Dr.
talked to
Taylor,
them.
we've lost your faith.
Oh, okay. I don't know what's going on here. Trying to get it back, I see. I'm not getting there.
No problem. Whatever you feel to do, this is good.
Nonetheless, we keep on we keep pressing and hoping that our young people can see their own self-worth and their values. And in seeing their self-values, we let them research and see again what people have done in the past, what the people are doing right here in the community. And then we connect them to talent programs and research essay programs and let them write about it. Then we have coaches who help them critique what they've written. And in the last few years, I've managed to get scholarships for 4 or 5 or 6 a year to go to different colleges or to enter different schools or to win different contests that pushes them forward, where other people can see them, actually see them, and they can see how the other world lives, because they don't see that, because they're only surrounded by the people that they deal with. We have so much that's in the way. We have the inadequate education system, the schools that the counselors don't pursue and don't send the children to look for something outside of the norm. We have the unbalanced portrayal of white people and their success. And then they're talking about the critical race theory. Critical race, I am the race. A theory, I'm not a theory. I've seen with my own eyes. My family is here in Michigan because of the murder similar to the 1921 Wall Street situation. A young man, 16 years old, had an epileptic seizure on a bus in Mississippi, fell off the bus and hit a white lady in his fall while he was having the seizure. The white lady called the police officers. 4 of them came, shot him under his arm and snatched him from his dad. And my mother caught him as he fell in the street. From that point on, my mother and my cousin ended up here the next day in Michigan. Coming here, yeah, I've been a angry white lady, a black lady, no, long way from white, angry black lady for a long, long, long time. And I'm told that I'm stuck in the 60s. Well, that's wrong, because I was born in the 40s. I lived through World War II, Vietnam War, the Korean War, Desert Storm. I've lived through segregation. My sisters and I, we helped each other drink out of the segregated water fountains. We helped each other go into rooms and buildings that were said white only. We went in there anyway, and we were called crazy niggas. Crazy then, crazy now. Crazy that I believe that we can do better, but we have so many areas to go in to do those better. We understand the unbalanced portrayal of other people, the failures of the school system, the failures of the sports world, that they're portraying our people as being only good enough to play certain sports. Everybody can't play sports, but everybody can think. Everybody can do something better. Everybody can teach somebody, and all of us can do something for something. And so our charity to aid humanity and to touch those individuals who are underserved is so simple, because we're not underserved. We have the ability to be more served when we put our villages together. And we have multiple villages on this program right now. So that's what we're working with. In addition to that, we have to offer them something to interest them. And so the things that we offer them has to be something to make them interested in themselves and understand their values, their self-worth. And so that's what we have to work with. And in doing that, in working with the self-values and the self-worth and things of that nature, it helps us to guide them into a better perspective of themselves. And so letting them see the people that they work with right now, letting them understand how they can how they can improve themselves. It's good. It's good. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
and
we
you
can hear you.
forgot, and I was just hoping that you would also mention from how you were able to help the police commission start putting social workers with the police force to help mitigate anti-violence as well.
Right. One of
To
the things I
intervene as
also
well too.
had, let me see. I'm trying to come back in here. Can you hear me and see me?
Yes,
No. You
yes.
One of the things that I did was, what I do is I have managed to get individuals out of prison, and I've managed to get them out of the local jails as well. And by doing that is I go to the police commission first, and then I go to the attorneys. Then I take that to the city council, and then I go over everybody's head and I write into that. And I ask people, always get a copy of your police report to see where they embellish and actually lie on the report. And then
Good.
don't be afraid to stand up. Don't be afraid to stand up and say something when you see it wrong. So I bring people with me to the Lansing Police Commission, and I interrupt their communication or their reports. And where I show them as best I can that, yeah, there is violence in the Black communities. And we usually do have violence in a fit of rage, 1-on-1, maybe 2 or so. But there's been 230 some mass murders throughout the United States, 230 some in the last year. And of that 230 some mass murders, 3,000 or more injured from that mass murder. 98% of those are non-Black. So the thing is that these are individuals in most cases who've had access to money, and most of the school shootings are with young people who have two-parent families in the house, in their families, and then they have access to funds and to guns. And when they can't buy the guns, the parents have bought them for them. You don't hear that. We need to highlight that more frequently. We need to talk about that more. And when they said the police have collected so many guns in the community, I went to the police commission and I said, yes, you have. And many of the guns that you've collected, you took from individuals, Black, who had a right to own the guns, who had no criminal records, and some of them were working as security guards when they had to have their own weapons. So yeah, you are collecting and snatching safe guns because you're cowards yourself and you don't know how to go out there and to stop the murders. You can't even stop the mass murders, and you don't know how to stop the serial killers. So you gravitate on the poor, helpless Black people in a certain community, and you demean and demise that community by labeling that community as an unsafe community. Not only do they do that, young people know, they not only label that as an unsafe community, they put it into the news, and wherever a crime is committed, they put the wrong address up there. A crime that was committed on Aurelius Road in Jolly, they coined that as being on the south side of Lansing. That location is within a couple of blocks of East Lansing. It's nowhere near the south side. But when they put it in there and show the place where they think the crime occurred, it allows the police officer the opportunity to come into that community with their guns drawn, and they become the Gestapo, and the young people become the victims. And unfortunately,
Wow.
Taylor, you're gonna have to.
Wow, this is powerful, Dr. Taylor. This is so powerful. I know that the audience is hearing information that they have not heard, and that is why this anti-violence summit is so important. If you are in the chat and you're hearing things that you have never heard before, please let us know. Put it in the chat. Just say never, okay? If you can, you're on this, I'm calling it a class, right? It's a summit, it's a class. You're hearing things you've not heard before, type in never, okay? And if you have heard these things before, type in yep. Okay, I'm Southern, so I say yep, right? But you can say yes, yep. You've heard this before. Dr. Taylor, I hate that we have to stop her, but listen, you need to contact Dr. Taylor because she has a wealth of knowledge. She is overflowing in knowledge, just like her experiences. There's a lot you can learn from her in terms of training, speaking engagements, consulting. Okay. So you have access to her. Okay. And please utilize this resource. Sometimes I hear people say, I just don't know who to talk to. I just don't know where to begin. You are on here. You are hearing from people like Dr. Taylor, giving real life experience. What I loved about what you said, Dr. Taylor, was how she was not afraid to go to the police and call them on it and be able to specifically say, hey, this is what you're doing and this is what's not right. This is what's not fair. And so I really appreciate that. She also talked about the snack and chat. This is another thing you need to contact her about. She talked about the importance of connecting people with their past. How many young people have no idea who the people are of the past that are great, okay? Or the present, which is why I also love this summit, because I'm on here and I'm like, wow, Dr. Davis is amazing. Dr. Prim is amazing. Dr. Taylor, this is so good. And these people are alive and they are here and they have a wealth of experience. And so, Dr. Taylor, I'm so sorry that we don't get to just like sit at your feet right now like we really want to, but we are going to go into a special moment of musical meditation. And I think it's so important. You know, I don't know about you, but as I listened to Dr. Taylor, I felt her spirit, I felt her fire, and I felt ignited. And so as you listen to this song, I really want you to meditate on the words that are going to be shared with us. We've got more people coming on, and listen, we just need to take a moment to just, you know, breathe and take in the musical meditation and really think about how we're going to not be just hearers but doers. And so I want to turn it over to Dr. Foster. Just really quick, Dr. Lakeisha Foster. She says that she is a lover of God, humanitarian, world traveler, author, singer, songwriter, recording artist, success coach, international speaker and educator. She has a passion for helping people to rise above their circumstances, just like those who have gone before her, right? To create a whole new life through the power of knowledge, choice, and the grace of God. Dr. Foster is presently a professor, mentor, and success coach living in Texas with her inspiring baby dog named Purpose, which I think is so great. And just a plug for those of you who know nurses who have a hard time passing the NCLEX, right? That's her expertise. She has a huge success rate with nurses. I believe it's just a pretty much 100% success rate. I didn't want to like, you know, but anyway, it's a 100% success rate. So if you know nurses who have been struggling to pass the NCLEX for years, you need to connect them to Dr. Foster. You have her information in the virtual booklet that will be coming out at the end. And so I'm just going to be quiet and let her just take us through that meditation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. It truly is just an incredible space. So thank you for what you all are doing for our communities, our children, our future, and almost 100% pass rate. It has been for quite some time. I want to share with you a song of experiences that I have had and also offer an invitation. What's available to us? How can we serve God to create a better present and future? I have seen things that no eye should see. Dead men on the streets, babies dying of AIDS as your mothers weep. I saw a woman covered in tumors and sores. Blood oozed from her pores as she prayed, Lord, deliver me. Oh God, the things that I have seen. I've seen orphans and baby refugees living on the streets, caring for themselves. At the age of 3, I saw girls sold into prostitution. In modern slavery, it was their only solution. And I still see the little boy I fed on a Wednesday, He told me his last meal was on Sunday. Oh God, the things that I have seen, I've been saved. I know that God has rescued me. Because I love him, I gave him my soul, my everything. He took my hands, my heart, my mind, and my feet so he could use them to help save somebody. Oh, oh, oh. Mm. Don't you say that God does not care when able men don't do their share. Don't say his heart isn't grieved. What evil men sow, suffering children reap. And don't say that God will do nothing. Retribution is something. Deliverance is coming. Oh, 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 oh. Don't you see what you and I were made for? If you open up your heart's door, God could use you to do something. You could be the one to help save humanity. Oh, please do something. Do something. Ooh. Thank you so much. Blessings to you.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you. Thank you for that. Mm, mm.
Thank you for what you're doing. Appreciate you so much, Ms. Brown.
And, you know, this is definitely a teamwork that makes the dream work. I really want to take the time out to just acknowledge Dr. Willie Davis, Dr. Rhonda Rose, Dr. Anil Prim, as just a few of the names that I really want to highlight that are responsible for helping this program to actually take place. I appreciate your song. This is an original song that Dr. Foster actually wrote herself, and many of her songs are originals. And so definitely you can contact her and be able to get access to her CD as well. That is in the book. I want us to go ahead and go to our next person. And this is going to be, thank you, Dr. Foster. This is going to be Dr. Frederick Woods, who is actually a therapist. And his specialty has been in working with Black males. And so I'll just highlight just a few things about Dr. Woods. Dr. Frederick Woods is a clinical chaplain with the specialization in behavioral health and substance abuse disorders. He has served throughout the states and abroad, offering pastoral care, counseling, services, and training. He is a representative of the military and institutional chaplaincy, international jurisdiction of the Church of God in Christ. He's a member of the College Pastoral Supervision and Psychotherapy. He's a member of the International Harbor Society in Psychology through Capella University. He holds several degrees, including a master's in human services, ministry, specialization in chaplaincy, doctorate in pastoral counseling. I'll just stop there. There's so much that we can read about him, and you'll have access to it in your virtual bio book. Just an amazing person, very down to earth. And what I love about Dr. Woods is, just like some of our amazing speakers have said, just the ability to have someone that looks like you when you walk through that door and you're in need of help. That person looks like you. It just brings down your blood pressure, right? And so we're going to hear from Dr. Woods even now. And this is actually a recording. Dr. Woods was serving tonight, and so he was not able to be on in person. However, he did have some really powerful words, so we wanted to make sure you got a hold of that. And so you'll hear him just now. Sorry, we're just having a little technical difficulty. I think it'll come on now. One moment.
Good evening, everyone. I am Chaplain Dr. Frederick Woods. I am delighted to be here and have this opportunity to be with you on this evening and just share from my perspective regarding Blacks and violence in our communities. I am originally from the Pacific Northwest. I have lived in a number of places throughout the United States in the past 25 years. I'm currently residing, my wife and I are in Panama City, Florida, where I serve as a chaplain counselor. And I have a business. My business is 3C Empowerment. You can, the information is posted there that you can contact me. You would like to talk to me in regards to any type of services or utilizing our services through 3C. We do travel. I'm always in and out of town, different places serving. But let's talk about Blacks and violence this evening. First, I want to just give some information that I think is important. You know, despite the overall steady decline in the United States around serious violence acts, and it has kind of been a decline since 1993. It doesn't seem like it, doesn't appear to be, but it has been a decline. But the rates of violent and behavior with pre-adolescents, adolescents, and young adults remain at a high level. 1 and 2 within the school-aged population, inner city African-American youth in the United States, especially males, are those from low-income families are most vulnerable to injury or death. These adolescents therefore constitute the important subgroup of violence that we need prevention efforts made. Many of the adolescents continue disproportionately engaged in multiple violence related to behaviors such as physical fights, carrying weapons. I'm sure that we've heard about the young child 6 shooting a teacher. Violence is just, you know, is there among our young people. Statistics clearly show that Black people commit about 60% of the violent crime in America, despite we being only 14% of the population. Why? Why is this? Black people in the United States bear the brunt of the gun violence epidemic. Just a few facts to just want to highlight. Each day, on an average, 30 Black Americans are killed by guns. More than 110 experience non-fatal injuries. 110, just non-fatal injuries, in addition to the 30 that were murdered. Black Americans experiencing 10 times the gun homicides as white Americans. Black Americans are nearly 3 times more likely to be shot or killed by the police, other than the white Americans. Black Americans experience 18 times the gun assault injuries than white Americans. 68% of Black Americans or someone they care for has experienced gun violence. 68% of Black Americans, they know someone that they care about that has experienced some form of gun violence. Each year, trauma, and all of that brings about a lot of trauma. Trauma accounts for 41% of the 41 million emergency department visits. I've done a lot of my work in the past 20-some years in the hospital, and I've seen the number of individuals come through. I've worked in trauma. but 41 million emergency department visits, 2.3 million hospital admissions, 192,000 deaths across the nation. Trauma. Trauma. DSM-5 defines trauma as directly experiencing the traumatic event, witnessing in person or as it occurred to others, learning that the event occurred to a close family member or friend, experiencing repeated extreme exposure to adverse details of traumatic events. It saddens me when you can go to an elementary school, a middle school, high school, and go into class and ask the young people how many of them know someone or know of someone or have a family member that's been shot or murdered. And the majority of them can raise their hand. Trauma has been identified as a major public health crisis among Black males 18 and older. We're at high risk. This is a serious problem. This is a serious issue. Studies examining trauma exposure among community Black males show approximately 62% having directly experienced traumatic events in their lifetime. 72% witness an event. 59% have learned of an event. Trauma, all of this trauma that our Black males, young Black males are experiencing. They're exposed to this trauma, whether through witnessing or direct victimization. Black male trauma survivors are significantly less likely to use any type of mental health services. Highly levels of daily crisis and lack of knowledge about mental health. Individuals, and they have these barriers to prevent them from getting the mental health services. Often, the individuals would like to have someone that looked like them. You know, the stigma and judgment preventing Black American people from seeking treatment for their mental illness. Research indicates that Black male African Americans believe that mild depression or anxiety would consider them as crazy in their society, in their social circle. Furthermore, many believe that discussion about mental illness would not be appropriate among their peers and their family. We have a problem. We have a serious problem. At the same time, Black men's mental health is more complex than statistics or clinical diagnoses indicate, according to subject matters experts, because of the structural racism that we've dealt with, Black men's unique history in this country, the biases. There's just a difference. So many of them, they want somebody, you know, that look like them, that possibly can understand them, they're culturally sensitive to what is happening with them. Compared to the white people, Black people are less likely to receive guidelines, consistent care to be included in their mental health. Let's think about what can we do as a community, as a people. And I always go to the church. I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, and I believe in the power of God, but I believe in the church. And right now, I'm disappointed. I'm saddened. I feel that the church, we have become silent. As the world and the violence and the crime gets louder, we have become more silent. I feel that we have shut our doors and closed our blinds and gone in the room and just don't come out. It's as if we have no voice. Everyone else is speaking what they believe in, what they stand for, and pushing their agenda. We have young people that are dying at a large number. We have young people that are struggling and dealing with trauma and anxiety and depression, and it's not being addressed. And we're silent. The Black church has always, since the beginning, since the 18th century, it's been present day, relevance. It's been the relevance the Black church has and will always serve as a safe haven for African Americans, a place of worship to God, of God together, a place where we are motivated and rebuild our communities. It has been this way since the beginning. Even during the civil rights era, the church was the body. It was the forefront. Historically, the church has pushed. We have always pushed family, church, family, school. Where are we at now? Where are we, church? Where are we, believers? Where are we, Christians? Our young people need us. What can we do? Some people feel like, what can I do? If you see something, say something. If you know something, say something. Be a voice. Advocate for those who don't have a voice. Embrace our children. It's about prevention, intervention. Children need to know that somebody cares. I've traveled the country, I've been overseas, and over the years, and a few things I've learned, no matter where I go, everyone wants to be valued. Everyone wants to be heard, listened to, and everyone wants compassion. No matter what the ethnicity, culture, our children need to know that they're valued. They need to know that they're important. They need to know that they matter. They need to be listened to, not heard, but listened to. They need to know that somebody is listening to them, concerned about them, and they need compassion without any underlying agendas. They need to know that they're loved. We was like, what can we do? If I've never experienced this, I'm not in the neighborhood, I'm not in the community. We have resources. We all have influence. We all know people. Encourage individuals and the resources. Just like today, as you find out about individuals that are serving and working, make referrals, give people information, suggest them talking to someone. Having individuals come to your community, to your churches, to inform, to enlighten, to educate. Come to the community and be an advocate. There's so much we can do. Other minorities come to this country without money, without speaking our language, and still surpass Black people. It's amazing. Before we had the education and the finances, we built institutions, and we had communities, and we took care of our own. We have more than we've ever had. It takes us stepping out, no longer being silent, shutting the door, but really being a voice and speaking out against the violence, the trauma that our children are experiencing. Research has shown that it's a public health issue. Well, you know what? Now, since we know this is a public health issue, the world is saying it, we ought to be speaking this. That because it's a public health issue, we need services. We need people to speak into our young people's lives. But again, value, listen, compassion will go a long way. I've had the wonderful opportunity through the years of working with many young people. This past month, I don't know what's going on, but I've had about 3 or 4 young people, well, they're 40 years old now. I met these guys when they were 13, reaching out to me. I was just in Huntsville over the weekend to marry somebody that I perform a wedding. Officiate a wedding of someone that I mentored several years ago. He graduated with his master's last year, bought a home, and he got married. And he wanted me to officiate the wedding. And these young people are having that opportunity. I learned the importance of those 3 things. The more I valued them and let them know that they mattered and they were important, the more I listened to them, the more I spoke life into them, the more I showed them compassion, the more they thrived. Their spirits have been damaged. We as a people have what it takes We've always had it, and we've always taken care of our own. And it's time for us to go back and begin to take care of our own. We talk about it takes a village. It does. We are the village. Let's not be silent anymore, people of God, churches, community. Whoever we are, they're all our children, and our children are crying. They're hurting, they're in pain. Violence is real, trauma is real, but we can make a difference. Hey, I hope I've said something to enlighten. I hope I've said something to encourage. And I can't stress enough, we have what the young people need. All we have to do is be willing to give it.
Wow, 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 wow. There were some mic drop moments there, but the two that I'll highlight is one, he said, before we had finances, we built institutions and took care of our families. I mean, that really arrested me because I know that I've met people who are still waiting on, different programs for the government to take care of people of color. And he just told us that before we had finances, when we were just being emancipated, we were able to build institutions and take care of our families. Wow. And so that is amazing, amazing point that was brought out. He also said, let youth know that they matter. Let the youth around you know that they matter. And we've heard that a few times tonight. And so I hope that's really resonating with people. And I just want to say this. To those people who may not see themselves as a youth, maybe you are considered by society as a senior citizen and you are a person of color. I just want to take the time to let you know that you matter. And I know that you already know that, but I want you to know that just like our young people matter, you matter. Our people who are considered senior citizens, you have had amazing accomplishments in this world. And those of us who are considered up and coming, we need you. We need these types of summits where you share your expertise, your information with us. You matter. You're not too old to share and to be seen and to be heard and to be giving of us your wisdom because we need it. You matter too. And so I just wanted to highlight that. Listen, we have a young person on here with us. He is a spoken word artist. And I just want I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We have a young person that's coming up next. Actually, who we have next is a wonderful co-responder, okay? And this is Lauren Mitchell. And after her, we actually have a high school student who is going to be sharing spoken word with us. And so, Lauren, I didn't want you to think we're referring to you as, a high school person. You are a very accomplished person. I'm looking at her bio now. I was so excited when I met this lady. She is doing transformational work here in the Huntsville, Alabama area where I am currently broadcasting. This is Lauren. Lauren's academic qualifications include a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology from the Tougaloo College and a Master of Social Work degree from Alabama. Social workers are in the house tonight. I'm so happy. Agricultural and Mechanical University. As a therapist and social worker, she has worked with children from low-income environments, cancer patients, substance abuse populations, and families seeking medical and mental health services. Lauren was privileged to be the first mental health co-responder in the state of Alabama through Wellstone Incorporated in partnership with the Huntsville Police Department. Lauren now serves as a child, adolescent, mobile crisis team supervisor. And this is so huge. She's going to talk more about it for one of the first children mobile crisis teams in Alabama, which is huge because pediatric mental health care is totally on the rise. It's becoming a humongous problem. And so I know she's going to talk about that. She's going to break down what a co-responder is. And so please hear Lauren. And thank you so much for coming on. I know she's serving even tonight, but she's still dipping in to share with us her expertise. So thank you.
She's muted.
I think you may be muted, Lauren, and I'm not seeing your.
I am.
screen come up.
Okay. I'm
If-
sorry.
can
Good
you put
afternoon,
your-
everyone.
Put on your camera for us as well.
Good
afternoon.
Is there? Okay, I'm not seeing her. Okay, but okay, good. You can see her. That's good. Sorry.
So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Mia, for the invitation. I have been blessed to be a part of two of the first programs in Alabama that are here to assist different populations. The first program that I was blessed to be a part of was the co-responder program, which is the first one in Alabama. And so I served as the first co-responder in Alabama. A co-responder is actually a social worker or master level therapist that ride with the police officers to respond to crisis calls, to mental health crisis calls specifically. And so that was huge for Alabama, definitely huge for our area here in Huntsville. And so I was happy to be a part of that. And so what we did was we responded to any mental health crisis calls for adults or children. We did not have anything specifically tailored to children at the time, but now we do. But I will first talk about the co-responder program. And with that, what we would do is we would go out and assess the situation, and we were able to get those individuals assistance, whether that was the hospital or whether that was sending them to WES, which is Wellstone Emergency Services, which is one of our newer facilities here in Northern Alabama. We service the whole Northern Alabama, and Wellstone Emergency Services is actually a place that people that are voluntarily wanting assistance, they can go there and get mental health treatment. And it's actually inpatient. So they have inpatient beds, and they will assist the individual with getting whatever it is that they need to move forward, to after a crisis, so they can stay there for as much as 7 days. So that's new and one of the big things that we're doing here in Alabama. So I also, unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, was able to commit individuals that needed assistance, but maybe they were in danger and didn't realize they needed assistance. And so the ones that rode with the police officers, we were able to step in and say, hey, this person is very sick and they need inpatient treatment, even if we have to take them against their will. And so, but I would rather do that than, and at least that person still had a life and was able to get what they needed, even if they didn't realize they needed it at that time. And so that was a huge part as well. The police department was very, when I first came, I was very nervous because of some of the things that I think some of the other speakers have mentioned, but they were actually very receptive and wanting to learn more about how to assist mentally ill individuals, very open, wanting, some type of assistance, training. So now a lot of them were wanting training. And after that, a lot of them became CIT, which stands for Crisis Intervention Trained Police Officers. Because they were wanting to learn more and more about mental health, they said, from, seeing me operate. And I was so grateful for that because I did not expect that. And it was just a wonderful experience that a lot of them are wanting to know now and wanting to help and wanting to know how to help someone in crisis. And so that was my experience as a co-responder. I have since been promoted to the Child Adolescent Mobile Crisis Team Supervisor. That is also a new program that we have here in Huntsville, Alabama, where now we are able to service children. So that's something that we have been lacking here, is being able to service children. And so now we have where if you call, we have 2 phone lines. And if someone calls, and as long as they're within Madison County, we will go out and assist that client. And it doesn't matter where they are, doesn't matter who calls. We are very flexible. We have gone out to hospitals. We've gone to people's homes. We've even gone on the side of the road. actually a few times to assist some people. So we're excited about that. That is a new project that we have. And we are very excited about that because now we can actually deal with our teenagers and our children that are in crisis. And we have someone to assist them with that 24 hours. We are a 24-hour team and we run 7 days a week currently. So that's just kind of what we have going on now in Alabama. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, Lauren. You know, as I am listening to you as a fellow mental health crisis advocate, I believe it's just really powerful what you do. What I love about you, Lauren, when I met you is just how passionate you were about it. And I can remember personally having a mental health crisis and remembering that when I saw a person of color, someone that looked like me, it just really helped. It helped to know that, I mean, I'm just going to be honest. For me, I was concerned that I would be treated like an animal, to be honest. And so to know that people like yourself are serving in roles like you do, and that when they see your shining, happy face coming there to help de-escalate the situation, we don't have to be afraid that, hey, you know what, my child is having a mental health crisis right now. Are they going to be shot? You know, and so I think it's really powerful, the program that you are implementing and that you are doing. And I believe it's so important that we as people of color actually not be afraid and get the training that we need as a community as it pertains to mental health and mental health crises. And definitely, while a lot of the information may not be packaged in a way that's more palatable for us, we can get the skills, we can get the information and then transform it. And so I love that that is a possibility, and I love what you're doing. I don't know if anyone has any questions for Lauren about how they could potentially start a co-responders group in their city. If there's anything we could be aware of, Lauren, like what might a person do to initiate a program like this? Is there anything you could share with us about that?
I would say that City Council would probably be the first start, because that's kind of what started it here in Huntsville, was that the need was very heavy here. There was the mental health crisis number was definitely at a peak here in Huntsville or in Northern Alabama. And so it started with the City Council. People were going to City Council meetings and saying that this is something that is needed. And they were saying that, you know, police officers needed, you know, crisis intervention trainings and things of that nature. And so that is where it started. And many people, you know, talking about that and going to City Council meetings and advocating for this program is how we became about.
Wow, that's really awesome. That's really good, because that really supports something that Dr. Parker, one of our earlier speakers, mentioned, being able to go to City Council. And he even said what you're saying, you know, form a group, form a coalition, so that there's power in numbers, and being able to talk to our council people about getting services like a co-responder, where now, because you are versed in de-escalation, people are versed in de-escalation, and even more so, people of color being versed in de-escalation to be able to help with this. And this is just a plug. There's actually a group that's going to be speaking on here very soon that's going to talk more about the power of de-escalation within the community. And that's Philly Truth. They'll be coming on. And so I'm really excited for Lauren, you and Philly Truth to connect. I'm just, you know, putting some plugs in there for you all. And this is going to be really good. Listen, you all have access to Lauren's information, so that if you want to, you know, contact her to do a speaking or a training, or to find out more about, you know, how what she does can be implemented in your city. I see that, let's see. There's a question here. This is from, and I think this is from Taisha. And Taisha, let me know if I'm saying your name wrong. It says, what is the best way to introduce it into a school to support the children of color in rural areas?
To the co-responder program or the mobile crisis team program?
Whichever, you could speak on both.
So actually, we did I will say that here we did actually go to, what we did was we connected with the school districts and we actually let them know, introduced our program to them, and gave them our phone numbers, like contact and things of that nature, to let them know that they could call us and that we can go out. And schools started using us, and they're using us even now, especially with the mobile crisis team. I've been to several schools, even with my staff, because I like to go out on calls too, because I'm just used to being out. So I'm used to doing that. So we have been to several schools, but we had a meeting with them first to, discuss our program and to let them know, like, this is what we do. Please call us. Like, we're here to help the children and that type of thing. And they were very open to it. So the first thing would be finding out but we met with the mental health advocate. I don't know. I know different places have different things, but like we have 2 school districts here and both of them have mental health advocates or mental health coordinators. And that's kind of where we started. And they set up a meeting for the school counselors. So I met with the school counselors in the district and also was able to also speak with some principals about it. So that's kind of how we got our name out, so that they know, hey, call us, let us come and help, when we can.
That's really
I hope that
good.
answered your question.
That's really good. You've given us some things to think about. It sounds like just being able to talk to your school district, looking for who is the mental health advocate over the school district in your particular area. Another thing that is really powerful, which I know, Lauren, your institution there at Wellstone, they do a lot of, that is mental health first aid, okay? So if you've not heard of this, please take some time out to Google it. You can also contact our organization, Pain Unwasted, about mental health first aid. And this is a really great program to help train the everyday person on how to recognize and respond to symptoms of mental illness. And this can be tailor-made to our communities, okay? Because once people are informed, they have the information, they have a better understanding of mental illness and how it works, then we can tailor-make that, package it similar to what Lauren has done with her organization in co-responding, and now have our people informed on how to be co-responders, whether it be in a school, at a hospital, on the actual police department, which Lauren has been able to do and do so safely and successfully. So I know we're out of time. I know there's a question on there. And so we may have to address that question directly in the chat, Lauren, if you take a look at that. But we will move on. And this is so juicy, you all. So thank you so much, Lauren, for being on there. Now, next up, we do have a spoken word artist, and this is a young person. And so we've been talking about youth and young people, and this person is so dynamic. We really appreciate him, Adam Humphrey. The piece that he's going to share with you tonight is original. It was made by himself. And so it reminds me of what Dr. Taylor said in helping young people recognize their talents and their purpose and what they have to bring to the table. And so this young man definitely has a lot to bring to the table. I'm so glad he could sneak away from homework and jump on here tonight. And so I'm going to turn it over to you, Adam. Thank you.
Hello? Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
How you all doing?
We can
Is this
hear
all
you, but
good
we
for
can't
all?
see you, Adam. Can you turn on your camera?
Oh, is it not turned on? I think it's. Is this
It's on
okay?
now. Okay.
Can you see me now?
Now, yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, how you everybody doing? My name is Adam Humphrey, and I just wanted to give everyone a message of encouragement. I wanted people to know that, and I feel like God has led me to say this to you all, that everything happens for a reason. And let me know if you can't hear me well, because I want everybody to be able to hear what I'm saying. Are you all able to hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, here we go. Everything happens for a reason. Look at the wind, it changes with the seasons. Look at the flowers that bloom with the sun. See how the wind moves and it runs? Everything happens for a reason. See on the ants on the ground feeding? Look at the birds in the sky sing. See the butterflies pollinating the flowers and pollen the flowers harboring. Everything happens for a reason. Look at your life, see how you were made. Look down the line, see how it was paved. See the new developments by the day. Everything happens for a reason. Look at the past, see how you were treated. See how we were treated. We may have faltered, but hope never depleted. We pushed on just like the seasons. We moved just like the wind. We struggled just like the ants feeding. We've all been the recipient of sin, but through it all, hope never depleting. Everything happens for a reason. Hope you realize hoping that you're seeing. Can't you see God's interceding? In the past, blood's been shed, but look at him, no longer are we bleeding. Everything happens for a reason. God gave you purpose, he is steering. I hope I can speak to you all. I hope my reason is what you were hearing. And I just wrote that because I felt like these past few weeks, God has been trying to let everyone know and let me know personally that, you know, he's got a plan, and that it just seems like a message I wanted to convey to people. And I've just seen a lot of worry and doubt, and through it all, God, he comes through, and a lot of the bad that happens comes through to work to his plan. And I just want to say, as that connects with us, I mean, like I said, look how we were treated in the past. But I feel like in order for all of that to happen, or in order for us to get closer with God, that we had to be treated a certain kind of way. And I feel like all of it had a part to play in his purpose for us. And that's all I wanted to say. And if anyone has any questions, please ask. I'm sorry.
Excellent, excellent, Adam. You're getting great job in the chat. I hear people saying, thank you, Adam. Thank you, young man. Great job, Adam. Excellent. It means a lot to the community for you to have come on here, Adam. It just gives a lot of us, I would say, strength, motivation, encouragement to see you. These programs are for you and for young men and young women like yourself, that next generation coming up. And so it means a lot for you to have come on here. Thank you for specifically writing a piece for this summit. We appreciate that as well. And Adam, his pieces are amazing, and he does do a lot of spoken word and presentations. If you're interested in potentially booking him for one of your events, you can definitely reach out to us and we can help get you connected, okay? And so that was really awesome, powerful lyrics. We love that. Listen, you thought that it was so good, and you're right, it has been so good, but it's not over, okay? Hang in there, we're almost at the end. But you know how, you don't want to blink and miss something that's really good, because I know the end of the program, what's about to happen. And so I just want you to hang in there and see what's coming up next, okay? This next group that we have, they are called Philly Truth. Philly Truth, and they're going to actually show us a special video. But before that, I just want to introduce the founders. This is Philly Truth Foundation. We have Mazee Kasher and also Stephen Pickens, okay? And so they are the founders. And not only that, they have actually created an app, okay? An app for Philly Truth. And I don't want to butcher it, so I know they're going to talk more about it. But just really quick, I want to just read this really fast. It says, gun violence has spiked in Philadelphia over the past 5 years, with 2021 on pace to be the worst in recent history. Last year, almost 500 people were killed due to gun violence. Can you believe that? In the city of brotherly love, to limit violence across the city, community organizers are stepping up with different solutions and mediating disagreements before guns are drawn. One person in particular is Mazee Kasher. He is a business owner and local hip hop artist who was tired of seeing young kids succumb to violence in the city he knows and loves. He says, We want to give the community the platform to ask for help. Isn't that powerful? But also give the community the opportunity to be that help. Come on now. Casher told KYW News Radio. With that in mind, Casher, along with his close friend and Philadelphia firefighter, Stephen Pickens, decided to create an app that would work towards limiting the use of guns to solve arguments. Talk about strategy, okay, you all? I hope you're hearing this. They say, we wanted to do something about these shootings, said Pickens. We wanted to do our part. So we came together and said, it's our time to be leaders. And so I'm so excited. They are going to be presenting alongside with a good friend that I love so much, Dr. Rhonda Rose Davis, okay? And she is the founder of Radiance Restoration Lifestyle and Longevity. And so I'm so sorry. Just really fast, I'm going to just highlight some huge things about Rhonda. And these are the things you should know about her. Basically, in addition to being the CEO and founder of Radiance Restoration Lifestyle and Longevity Research Services, she is located in the Western Coastal Plains of North Carolina. She is a world-traveled, faith-based lifestyle, longevity, and fitness professional, okay? And she specializes in transformative impact enhancement training for personal and community development. And there's just tons here. Okay, Rhonda's amazing. And I'm not going to even go there and tell you how young she is. She is amazing. All right. So if you need to get your health right so that you can continue to be an advocate, you need to see Rhonda. But I'm going to jump off of here and not take up your time. The floor is yours.
Good evening. As you already know, I am Dr. Rhonda Rose Davis, more commonly known as Dr. Rhonda Rose. And I serve as a research specialist along with my partner, Maya Stallings, for Philly Truth. It is really a pleasure to be on this evening with you all. And I'm going to start this off by highlighting a research published in PubMed Central. Now, this research focused on youth gun violence prevention in a digital age. It highlights the story of a young lady, 17 years old. Her name was Gakira Barnes. She was known to be affiliated with a well-known gang in Chicago and unfortunately was gunned down just 3 blocks from her home. On social media, she revealed her address. So obviously, those that were after her knew where to find her. And on Twitter, there is a whole line of history where this young lady included direct and indirect threats toward the rival gang. She both had boastful discussions about the perpetration of past violence and had images and videos with semi-automatic weapons. Now, I say this to highlight how social media contributed to her demise. And although it's obvious that her post on social media contributed to the problem, could there be a positive way or more positive way to work with social media? And that's what brought me, or to the internet, to digital imaging, which brought me to Philly Truth. I saw Steve and Mazee at a church program that we had in Philadelphia, and I called them and told them of my interest in public health research. Consequently, I had the pleasure of meeting with them and have now been with them over a year and a half. Let me just say this for a quick moment. The Philadelphia Inquirer has reported more than 500 deaths due to gun violence in our city last year and the year before. But Philly Truth has an answer, and I think you guys will really be interested in seeing what has happened. Mazee, it's all yours.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Rhonda. Appreciate that lively intro. My name is Mazee Casher, along with my co-founder and brother, Stephen Pickens.
Sorry for interrupting, Mazee. We can't see you. Do you mind turning on your camera, please?
My camera is on, actually.
Okay. Okay, we need to find you.
I can see him.
I see him too.
Yeah, Dr. Rose is pinned.
Okay, keep going.
No problem. So Stephen and I go back to high school. We ran into each other again after about 5 years in 2020. And Philly Truce was born. And I just want to share a little bit of our highlights since late 2020, early 2021, when we got started. I did see Stephen here. I don't know if he's still here.
Yes, he's here.
Okay. So these are some of the highlights of how our organization works. Stephen, would you mind reading some of these bullet points for me?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate this opportunity to explain the Philly Truce app and tell you a little bit about who we are. So we prefer to use technology and violence prevention. So some of the highlights are, let me see, we launch, and well, first we utilize, Philly Truce utilizes a mobile app for violence prevention. We launched in 2021 with 30 volunteers professionally trained in mediation. And since its launch, more than 200 help requests have come through the app, and close to 200 individuals have volunteered to fill those requests that comes through the app.
Okay, and so when we launched, we realized shortly thereafter that we would have to work, vigorously and rigorously to earn the trust of the community, so that the app could be viable, that when they saw the name Philly Truce, they could actually trust it. And along with marketing ourselves on our website as, clearly not affiliated with the police, everything is kept confidential. We also had to get out in the community, and one of the initiatives turned into one of our programs, actually, which is called Peace Patrol. And Peace Patrol is a hybrid of town watch and street outreach. We used churches, masjids, community centers for hubs, and we basically walked routes on given days and times, and we canvassed the neighborhoods, share information about the app, the services that were available, and also encouraged people to join us in patrolling their own neighborhoods. Steve?
So the Peace Patrol of Thanksgiving weekend 2021 resulted in a 2/3 reduction of gun violence citywide over Thanksgiving weekend of 2020. The following success of the initial effort, a 100-day campaign at January 14th to April 30th, 2020, resulted in 26% and 11% reductions in homicides and shooting incidents respectively, compared to the 100 days prior in the zip codes where we were active.
Thank you, Steve. Another initiative that we developed in the process of promoting the app, once we realized we had to get in more direct engagement with young people, is what we call the ambassadors program, which is essentially going into schools, primarily thus far K-8 schools, and we do an assembly, which we'll show you a clip from after Steve gives you some of the highlights of the Philly Truce Ambassadors program.
So the Philly Truce Ambassadors program is one of our most proud initiatives that we have undertaken, because we're dealing directly with the young people, which is not an easy task to do, especially as middle age or older. So since the 2021 to 22 school year, Philly Truce has conducted assemblies in the public schools, the Philadelphia public school system, for grades K through 8. So that's essentially what we would consider middle school in Philadelphia. 10 schools and 1,200 students have been serviced to date. School principals and psychologists have since begun to reach out for mediation among students. And here's a snippet of the video that we play for the assemblies in the middle school, which is called It Starts in the Home. It's no volume on my.
You use both of these packs of hair?
I don't know what to do with this mop.
What's up with you?
My brothers and I were shooting at somebody last night.
Melissa just told Wanda that her brother shot at someone. Does that mean Melissa is a snitch? Yes or no? Why or why not? Write your answer.
And you got me up in here like a sitting duck? Thanks, friend.
He was only shooting at Reese.
Your kid's father?
Yeah, now Reese is talking about what he going to do to them, and it's just a mess.
Melissa knows that her kid's dad wants revenge against her brother. What should she do with that information? Write your answer.
You need to get on the Philly Truce app and let them know what's going on.
Philly Truce app?
Yeah, Philly Truce app. Just go to the app, press the get help button, and one of the mediators will hit you right back.
What they gonna do? They don't listen to nobody.
Remember when my uncle and them was going through that thing with them boys in Southwest?
Yeah.
They squashed all of that.
Philly Truce app, huh?
Yeah, it's in the App Store and the Android joint.
I'm gonna check that out.
What happens beyond this point with that which we leave behind if we allow this contention that's laying in the streets? This is our energy and our spirit laying in this room and on this table, and we can't allow that to build up within ourselves. Please, brothers, shake hands on the fact that you're sitting here. Do it for me. If you don't do it for anybody else, do it for your children. Shake hands on the fact that you're here. You came here with a resolve. Can I see that at least? The offer is there, brother. What you gonna do? Come on, brother. I know it's hard. Come on, man. Please.
Thank God I had that Philly Truce app on my phone. I hit them up and they got right back to me.
All right, this is how it works. Say you're in your neighborhood and you have a problem and you want to report it. You would just turn on the app and you'd go inside there and you'd click Get Help. Once inside there, you would report some information, describe that beef, and then you would just wait for somebody to get back to you.
The Philly Truce app is a place for community.
And we'll just close with this. Our final program centers around what we call Philly Truce Day. We were able to get a proclamation from the city when we launched in 2021. May 8th is Philly Truce Day. So this year we've arrived at what we feel going forward will be our signature initiative to kind of fold high-risk individuals into the service of Philly Truce, the Peace Patrol, monitoring the app, and the Philly Truce ambassadors, excuse me. So I'll let Steve read a little bit about this program, and then we'll close it out. Thank you.
Before I begin, thank you everyone for watching our presentation, and hopefully you learned something about what the possibilities are with technology as an intervention tool as well. So for the Safe Cities Summit, the target participants, the aim is to transition high-risk individuals into a productive member of society through intensive training that begins with pre-vocational work in the form of cognitive behavioral therapy curriculum, followed by workforce development and culminating into community service with Philly Truce. Through the Peace Patrol, through the Philly Truce Ambassador and assemblies, and also as a mediator or volunteer on the Philly Truce app.
You can read the next one, Steve.
Successful participants after 1 year of new justice involvement, completion of all coursework, and successful maintenance of livable wage income, participants will be eligible for legal relief dependent upon their individual status, and the terms and conditions are being negotiated with the district attorney.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Dr. Rose, for bringing us into this community, and thank you everyone for listening. We'll close there. We can be found on Instagram at Philly Truce, phillytruce.com, and our number and contact information will appear in the booklet that you'll receive if you're registered. Thank you so much. Good night.
Wow.
I'd like to say one thing, and Z did not mention this. He is a rapper himself, and as I was listening to that young man, Adam, keep it up. We encourage our young people also to develop their artistic skills, and music and rap and the spoken word is a very good funnel to encourage our young men and our young women in this world that they're in. And so I just wanted to commend Adam again. Absolutely outstanding. And that's right on. That's the way we see you here in Philly. God bless you. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. If you agree with me that this needs to go viral, I need you to put viral in the chat. Just go ahead, type in the word viral. I can't remember how to spell it, but that's okay. I'm going to put it in the chat because this is amazing. I mean, this seriously needs to go viral. We need you to ASAP connect with Philly Truce. I know here in Huntsville, I know I saw Lauren saying this is amazing. I just kept seeing people say this is amazing. And so we need training on how to get Huntsville Truce, Philly Truce chapter in Huntsville, and maybe some of your cities. I mean, you can go ahead and put your cities in the chat where you say that, this Philly Truce needs to happen. This needs to go viral. This program needs to be known to the entire world, okay? Not just in the United States, but I'm thinking other countries where they have issues. And so if you know people, you have connections to council, to school districts, to attorneys, whoever you know, we need you to connect Philly Truce, this team, to those people. I know I will be reaching out to you all. This is amazing. There's so many questions, and I told you, you got to stay to the end because it just gets good. It's been good. I can't say it gets better and better because it's just been good the whole way through. But listen, I know you're glad you stayed and you saw that, right? And so you're going to feel the same way when we get to the end because we still have 2 more people presenting. And I just want to say, I'm going to be the one that everybody throws tomatoes at and say we can't even take questions for Philly Truce. You just got to contact them. You've got to contact them. Use your book. Call them directly, get them on your thing, okay? Thank you so much, Dr. Rose. Thank you, Mazee. Thank you, Stephen. You're gonna be getting a lot of calls, so get ready. All right, that's so good. Listen, we're just about at the end, and thank you for hanging in there. I know we're just a little bit over the time that we wanted to be, However, we're just about at the end. We've got an amazing saxophonist coming up to kind of close us out. He is award winning. Okay, so you do not want to miss that. But just before that, we have an amazing speaker coming on to highlight her organization. And so I know you enjoyed this one. You're going to enjoy our last speaker of the night, and that is Joyce Riddick Reynolds. And Dr. Davis, I know you're still there. I want you to go ahead and introduce this amazing power team that's coming on, Joyce Riddick Reynolds and Mothers in Charge, along with Dr. Spade. So I'm just gonna turn it over to you to talk about them. Awesome.
All right, great. One wonderful app as well. Miss Joyce Riddick Reynolds comes to us from Mothers in Charge with years of experience supporting individuals and families who have loved ones taken due to gun violence. And this is so incredible, this especially eyewitness area as well here. To a member of Mothers in Charge organizations, and as well as a facilitator and workshop presenter supporting families in their journeys of grief. I should say Dr. Joyce Reynolds and also Dr. Dorothy Johnson Spite, who's part of the group, is helping to keep especially this effort going. Is born to be the mother of Khalik Jabbar Johnson, whose life was taken, but by act of violence over a parking space. Grief-stricken and enraged by the Census Act, Dorothy channeled that energy into the founding of Mothers in Charge, a grassroots organization dedicated to violence prevention, education, and intervention. Working with a small group of mothers dealing with similar circumstances, she envisioned an organization that will provide support to grieving families, as well as awareness and education of the public to prevent others from enduring the pain of experiencing the death of a loved one. And under Dr. Spite and with Ms. Joyce Riddick as well, the organizations have exhibited astounding growth, widely known and recognized for its achievements in the Philadelphia area, but outreach, especially in San Francisco, LA, Nashville, Brooklyn, Kansas, and now to the rest of us. So Ms. Joyce Riddick Reynolds, you're on.
Good evening, everyone.
All right.
Good evening. Wow, this is amazing because I had such an evening, but I'm glad to be here. I personally want to just thank you, Mr. Willie, for inviting us to be a part of this. And Mia has been just wonderful. She's hung with me this whole evening. But I just want to let everybody know that Mothers in Charge is well, to me, it's a ministry, but it's also an organization. It's actually Mothers in Charge, Inc. It advocates for families who are affected by gun violence to their families or have members of their families that were murdered. The organization is comprised of mothers, grandmothers, sisters, aunts, and anyone who's committed to saving lives and preventing another mother from having to go through that terrible tragedy of losing a son or daughter or a child. So we just thank you tonight that you're here to hear our story, to hear my story. I am representing also Dr. Dorothy Johnson Sprite. She's, as it was read in her bio, she's the founder and the CEO of Mothers in Charge, Inc. Her son was murdered over a parking place, and that was so overwhelming for her. So she used that rage and the sadness and all of the things that she was going through. She used that to form a group, which is called Mothers in Charge. And she started with a small group of mothers who had similar situations, have faced murders here in Philadelphia. And I myself has been through that same thing. Before joining Mothers in Charge, I lost a son and a grandson to gun violence. They were murdered on the streets of Philadelphia. And I began to go to a support group at my church, which eventually I became the facilitator of. And I channeled my energy into helping others to get through that sad, grieving moments. I also extended that ministry into chaplaincy. I became chaplain at one of our local hospitals here in Philadelphia, and also a counselor, a grief counselor. And so that's one of the things how we could pay it forward when we're going through, rather than take the anger and all the things that we go through when a loved one is murdered, we could pay it forward and help another person to get through what they have to get through and let them know that they can. And it's possible, because mine was basically church-based. I did a lot of workshops and events with church organizations. But since joining Mothers in Charge, I've also been with other people or other organizations. I even been to schools to do workshops and tell the children my story and let them see a mother who have been through it and understand that it's a heartbreaking event. We offer a lot to families of the victims, the gun violence victims. We offer counseling, grief counseling, of course, and support. Not just support when it happens, but even to join the group and to learn how to cope with their grief. We also have information to give them that would help with the financial situations as far as the services are concerned. We have made many, many relationshipal friends with not only just the families, but also with the police department, political leaders, and also with the school principals that's in the area, certain areas where there's high crime. I know for myself, it was one school that I began to talk to the teachers and the children, because what we need to know, what I found out, that a lot of the pain, we focus in on the mothers and the fathers, and when an incident like this happened as far as gun violence, but the children are also affected. And I believe wholeheartedly that a lot of the times, the anger that we see or the gun violence that we even see is because they don't know how to channel their pain. And they're taking that anger, they take the attitude, I've heard some of them even say, they take the attitude is, I'll get them before they get me. And that's a sad thing, because when they see how the pain of a mother, how it feels to see your son laying in a casket, no matter what age, they understand that that's not the avenue to take. So we offer to these children it's called creative expressions, and it's to draw out their feelings, to not only just talk about it. Some people won't talk about it ever, but they can draw out their feelings, and they can also journal, write their feelings down and share them. We have, certain counselors that go out and just let them do it through music. And I love the young man that did the spoken word, because that's showing their inner feelings. They have feelings as well, not just the parents, but the children, because that's who we're targeting during this season, because they are the ones who have to face more than we'll ever face, because they're out there on the streets. And it doesn't matter, they can be good kids or whatever, bullets don't have names on them. So I just wanted to come on tonight and be clear about that. Even though the sadness is there, the hurt is there, but we have to channel all of that into helping someone else to understand that we have to get active. We have to get out there on the streets. And with the families that we counsel or we meet with, we don't just do it one time. We form a relationship with them. We do one-on-one with them. And we help them through their grief process so that they will come back and join the group and help someone else. I had a lot that I wanted to say, and most of it was in our bios, but we have many other things that we do with the families. We found like when there's a murder or there's a situation, we find out what their needs are while they're going through, and we're there to help them as mothers. And I found out that through that situation, when you reach a person that way, that it's easier for them to get through their pain. It's easier to know that someone else understands their pain that has been through the same situation. One of the things that I was told Mia was that because my ministry was church-based and it was called SWIM, which stands for Strengthening Warriors in Ministry. And one of the things I find that prayer helps. If you're allowed to pray with someone, they find peace in that also. And so I was glad to bring that peace to Mothers in Charge, for those mothers who maybe have never prayed or didn't know how to pray, to bring that peace to them, to know that God cares and He is there. So I just had so much, I'm so full tonight because this is listening at just what I've heard tonight. I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed that people want to come forward and people want to help. There are many programs that they're out there, but they're just not publicized. So Mothers in Charge is open to everyone. Well, what was unique about my ministry that I had before Mothers in Charge is that it wasn't just gun violence. It was just anyone that had a death. But Mothers in Charge deals strictly with those that have been killed, murdered by gun violence. We also want you to know tonight that we have other chapters that were started by I call it Dr. Dorothy. We have other chapters that were started in other states, other cities. And one of the cities is Nashville, Tennessee. There is a chapter there. There's one in Los Angeles, California. There's one in Brooklyn, New York. So there are other chapters, and we would love to start chapters all over so that women, men would have a place to go. Children would have a place to go to release that anger. We also offer anger management training. There are also sorts of programs that we offer to the families. Whatever information that we get, we share it with the families so that they can get the help that they need. One of the things I would like to share also tonight is that it doesn't matter what we say, is what we do. Because people will say a lot of things, but action speaks when you reach out to those who are hurting, to those who have lost a loved one. I could tell you from experience, I was overwhelmed by the help that I got when my son was murdered and my grandson. And by the way, it was in the same year, so that was compacted for me. And it was innocent. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't a gang related. It was just a random shooting in the streets of Philadelphia. So I really don't have very much more to share, but we do have conferences, we do have workshops, we do have ongoing meetings with the parents. They come to the office daily, those who just want to hang around because they feel like they're around people who understand what they're going through. And we often just let them come and just hang around, hang out, or get involved. So we're here for you mothers. We're here for you fathers. We find that it's hard to sometimes reach the fathers, but they're coming out because they need help also. And I thank you for this opportunity tonight to introduce Mothers in Charge, Inc. Thank you.
Wow, 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 man.
Thank you.
Dr. Riddick Reynolds, I just want to say thank you to you. Thank you to you. And I'm going to call her Dr. Dorothy since you did, for your courage and the fortitude that it's taken for you to start this legacy and to keep it going in lieu of what you've experienced. You know, you could have just stayed at home, but you decided to make use and to not let this be a waste, as some people would say, by being an advocate and speaking up and helping to save lives of other people. Only heaven will know how many young people have been saved because of your efforts and because of the efforts of Dr. Dorothy and because of the efforts of every person on here. How many people's lives, we may never know, have actually been spared and made better because of you. And so really, I want to thank you all for staying on this long and for listening and for participating and being a part. I know that Dr. Davis is going to close us out, but before that, we have something really special. We've been saving a special gift for you, and that is in the form of Steve Norman. I say he is a gift because he's so amazing. This young man has a powerful testimony of his music. And I don't know do we have his bio on here? I just want to read a little bit of it to you, but this is a gift to you all, okay? And so thank you, Stephen, for being willing to share your gift as a gift to the participants who have been on here tonight. Stephen Norman IV, commonly known as Steve, is a saxophonist of 25 plus years. And he began playing when he was 10 years old and has matured over the years to become louder, bolder, and smoother. Steve specializes in power trio, tenor, alto, soprano saxophones. With the loss of his sight at the age of 22, amongst other life occurrences, Steve's saxophone playing has not only become a special talent, but it's also a form of melodious testimony as to how good God has been to Steve throughout his life. Those who have had the opportunity to hear his testimony say that Steve's playing is nothing short of anointed, moving, blessed, sensational, awesome, and inspiring. I won't read the rest because we're pretty much out of time, but I want you to have this gift tonight. And so please hear this musical meditation. And Steve, anything you want to say, the floor is yours.
He might be, he's muted, and also his picture's not on.
Yes, I think he's having some technical difficulties. We're going to get him on there. Dr. Davis, I don't know if you wanted to say anything before he comes on.
Just say this has been wonderful. We've gotten the experience of programs that have been working to reduce violence with experienced therapists as well on how to deal with individuals who's gone through violence, some domestic gun violence, and just has been a wonderful combination of that, especially, and also the spoken word and music, singing to kind of pull together a lot of the spiritual aspects of what we're doing and going. And it's made this program really a amazing piece. So, and we can carry it on. So just thank everybody for having come, and hopefully we can hear Mr. Norman and to take us on.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Davis, for that. It looks like he's still having a technical difficulties going out and coming back in. So he should be on in just a minute. I want to let you know that we're going to keep our word. Very soon, we're going to be putting the virtual bio booklet into the chat so that you can have access to that. Also, if you didn't get a chance to oh, okay. Sorry. Just a little update. It looks like you will need to register actually to be able to get the bio booklet. I don't think the chat can actually handle the booklet. That's what it sounds like, perhaps. And so there's going to be a link that's going to be put in here for you to register, and then you can have access to that book. Okay. And you already know it's thunderous. You know, you need that book. You can not only have it for yourself as a resource, but we can also share it with our friends and decision makers and thought leaders that can get those speakers into your communities to continue making a difference. And so I just want to highlight that really fast. We may be able to take at least one question, and thank you all so much for continuing to stay on, those who are able. You're not going to want to miss the playing. It's going to be a real treat. But is there maybe one question in the chat we can entertain while he's coming back in? I don't know if anybody has something they want to put in the chat, anything that you've seen tonight. If you've just really enjoyed the program, also, can you just let us know in the chat? Can you just put in there awesome, or, I learned something? Let us know, because, we may have programs like this again in the future, and we'd love to hear your feedback, what has stood out to you, what you enjoyed so far.
You've muted.
Mia, you're muted.
Still muted. Something's happened. You're still muted.
She can hear us and she doesn't know what happened.
Yeah.
That I'm not muted. Okay.
There
Hey,
you
hear me now?
Now we can hear you.
Okay. Look, my computer's like, Mia, it's time to go. No, we have to hear our saxophonist. Okay. We have to hear him. He's amazing. And he has been on the whole time. So we definitely want to give him a chance to just bless us with his music. Did anybody hear me say, if you don't mind to leave in the chat how you've enjoyed the program, you can just put in there awesome, or if you want to put anything in the chat, just let us know how you felt about tonight's program. We'd love that. I had to Google and make sure I knew how to spell viral. So I just want to highlight that. And listen, Philly Truths, we've got to make sure this goes viral. We got to make sure people, did you all hear me talk about the book and how you can get access to the book? Did you hear that?
Yes, that did come through and it is in the chat.
Okay, the link is there. So please
Yes.
fill out that link, okay, so that you can have access to that book. Let me just check with my tech people and see how we're doing with Steve. Just give me a second here.
Since we're still waiting for her to do that, I just want to say that this is Dr. Rhonda Rose. I really appreciated everyone's contribution and to hear how you have come at this very serious topic in different ways really is an eye opener. And as I have been chatting with the fellas with Philly Truths, that I think I see a lot of opportunity for collaboration here, that we can really come together and help one another in our respective areas. So I'm hoping that when we get the book, that as we contact you, you will contact us, and together we can make a difference. Because when we see young people like our saxophonists or speakers like Adam, we've got to work together to facilitate a greater blessing in our community. And certainly for the mothers that lost children. I am the survivor of my father who died before my mother to gun violence also, Dr. Joyce. And so that's a very, very important part of this whole picture. We've got to work together because we can do better.
And thank you to Dr. Rose Davis also too, because though you weren't hosting, but you were part of the organizing of this as well with Mia and I. So thank you.
Okay, looks like we have our saxophonist. I see him there. You're able to see him. Thank you so much for your patience and for waiting. You will not be disappointed. And I'm just gonna be quiet, turn it over to Steve, and thank you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Softly, but we can hear you.
Okay, all right. All right, so can you hear me?
Yes.
Am I good? Okay. All right, well, I'm happy to be here. So happy to be here. I've heard every participant, and you guys are just dynamic. I don't want to start naming names, but it's just crazy. Like, the pain and the things that we witness and the things that we've been through, but how we can turn them into just help for others. It's really inspiring, and I want to play for you Jesus is Love by the Commodores.
right, all right.
I told you.
Outstanding.
Show you right, show
Thank
you
you.
right.
I told you, stay to the end,
Amazing,
right?
amazing.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you so much, Steve, for just that gift that you've given to all of us in yourself and in your gift. And that's it, you all. That's the end of the program. I turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Davis or Dr. Rose, if any of you want to close us out. But thank you all for coming and for staying and for sharing.
Oh, so great. And thank Victor too for
Yes.
helping to Roxanne. And this has turned out well, and just put it on out there so we can let others see what's going on, and we hope we can help and decrease the violence that's out there.
That's right.
I know we will.
That's right.
Uh-oh, look at here.
Oh, that is,
Look at here. Look at here.
They want to see your face.
All right, baby girl.
oh, so sweet.
All righty. Yeah.
So sweet.
Please make sure that if you haven't already clicked on the link so that you can get access to the bio book, that you can, okay?
Somebody else there too, all right?
Yes.
Yep, there's the other one.
Those are people ready for me to help them get ready for bed.
Well, see, that's part of your team. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes.
And that's
Together we get there.
And it's for the children. That's what this is for. Save the children.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
And good night.
Thank you.
Hey, Luther.
Hey.